Our focus in this presentation is on two of the better-known narratives from the body of Icelandic folklore, those being Egil's and Nja'ls sagas. Both follow the Song of Roland in that they are written accounts of episodes from some centuries earlier. Your readings will be selected from these two stories, so it is important to get a good sense of what defines this body of folklore and what these stories entail. The sagas serve Icelandic culture the way the epics served the Greeks and the Romans. These are foundational stories that describe family origins and conflicts. They date from the 10th and early 11th centuries, appearing first as orally transmitted narratives, which were gradually transcribed in the early 13th century, and so fit within our consideration of the High Middle Ages. Less poetically sophisticated than their Homeric and Virgilian counterparts, these stories are defined by what's described in this slide as laconic eloquence. Please pause and take a moment to review the points made here. The warrior poet Egil Skallagrimsson is the central figure, of course, of Egil's saga, and his story concerns not only his family background and coming of age, but also his family's rivalry against the colorfully named Norwegian king Eric Bloodaxe. As with the Homeric epics, the matters of loyalty and duty are central themes, even as these central characters might not always fit within conventional notions of heroism as we understand it from the Greek and Roman epics. Many of the sagas also involve nautical journeying, and you can see that coastal orientation from the map included here. The 13th century Icelandic author Snorri Sturluson is credited with transcribing many of the sagas, taking these poetic accounts and recording them as prose narratives. Here's another description of Egil Skallagrimsson, a complex warrior poet caught within a web of clannish rivalries and loyalties, capturing the idea of revenge as another central theme to these stories. As described here, Egil's skills as a poet managed to extract him from various forms of torment and imprisonment, and in letting go of his thirst for conflict and vengeance, he manages to realize a measure of peace as his life proceeds towards old age. In contrast with Egil's saga, the so-called Saga of Burnt Njal features a wider and more convoluted set of characters. I'm under no illusion that you'll be able to discern much from the character map provided here, but some strategic Googling will help to open up this story in fuller detail. Basically, it is built around the exploits of two central characters, one of course being Njal Thorgeirsson, also referred to as Burnt Njal because of an episode early in this violent narrative where he escapes narrowly and with injuries as enemies burn his family's house to the ground and set off a series of conflicts that shape the story that follows. The other is Gunnar Hamundarsson, much younger and more belligerent than the older and wiser Njal, but equally prone to conflict and equally inclined to seek vengeance for various slights. Here's a bit more detail about the two main characters. Please pause and review this material, which will help to provide context for the selections of the story that you've been asked to read. As with Egil's saga, the themes of vengeance, honor, duty, and revenge also pervade this narrative and many of the other sagas as well. The resonance of these themes within the Icelandic sagas points to their importance within medieval Icelandic culture. In a pre-literate world, these stories served as household entertainment but also captured the values held by the society as important. I hope you enjoyed this brief introduction and found value in it, and I hope you enjoy the selections drawn from these two signature Icelandic sagas. Thank you for listening.